Welcome to Google Forms. This is an extension of yesterday's topic of Google Drive and Google Docs. We're going to expand upon that, where we're going to get some information back from people. Yesterday we shared documents, spreadsheets, and PowerPoint type slides. Now we're going to use a different form of it called Google Forms, where we actually solicit information back from users. This is going to be in the form of them filling out a form and then us taking the answers that they answered our questions that we gave them and using that information. It's a pretty neat concept. It's how we can communicate and get feedback from whether it be the congregation or the public, either or. We're going to go into our Google account just like we did before. Top right, you'll see that cube. We're going to click on that, and that's that cube that's made up of 9 smaller cubes. When we click on that, we're going to click down to Drive. When we go to Drive, this is a screen that'll pop up. You'll click on My Drive, and then we're familiar with the docs, sheets, and slides. Now we're going to go to the More and come up with and click on Google Forms. This is the part, again, it's going to be just like open up a document, a sheet, or a slide, except now it's going to be a form. We have the form here. It says Untitled Form and Untitled Question. We're going to click on there. We'll add a spiffy little title. We can start asking our first question. Then you'll see on the right hand side we find out or decide how we want to ask that question. Is it a multiple choice? Is it a yes, no? Is it a short answer? We have all kinds of options there. Underneath that you'll see the word required. If you click in the gray, that makes it a required field, so they will not be able to submit the form unless they fill something out in that category or in that question. This can come important where we need to get certain pieces of information. If we don't get that information, the form might be useless to us. So we can click on that and make that a required field where the only way they're going to be able to submit it is by asking that question. There's some other icons there we'll get into as we continue. But here we go. Here's a simple one. Title, Technology and Church Communications. What is your name? Pretty simple, straightforward question. Probably something we're going to want to ask of most of, unless we're asking a survey and we want it to be anonymous. We'll probably ask something along those lines. And then I clicked the multiple choice, and it gave me all these options for different types of answers that I can solicit. It could be a short answer where you just let them type in whatever, but relatively short, maybe a sentence tops. Or maybe you want an essay, or a description, or a comment section where we want more space. We can click on the paragraph. Multiple choice, pretty simple. We have the options. We can put in as many as we want. They can click that. We could have a checkbox where they check off maybe more than one. We could have a drop-down menu. I didn't do that in this video. However, you could click on that, add options. User just have to push the arrow key down, and then whatever options you put in there, they can select from those options. Linear scale. This is kind of, on a scale of 1 to 5. This is 1's the best, 5's the worst. We can put a multiple choice grid. This is a little different. This is a newer one. I used it in my form. However, I can't say I'm too sold on it. I'm not sure if I would use that again, but I want to show you some options. You also have the option of putting a date and a time in. Now, I'll just caution you with this. You can put them in, but as they enter stuff, it timestamps it when they're actually entering it. So if you're just entering a date and a time for when they filled this form out, you don't really need to because it does it automatically. But if you want to schedule a meeting, a time, a date, then obviously these would be possible fields that you could use. So there we go. I did a short answer, what is your name? And I also made this a required field. You can see it turned purple. You also see on the right hand side the plus sign. That's to add a question. So I'm pretty much done with this question. If I want to ask another one, I'll hit the plus key and then I'll open up for my next question. If you go down one to the 2 T's, you can title a question. Not sure why you would actually do that, but you have that option. Below that you can insert a picture. So you could put a picture in and say, hey, do you like this picture? Do you like this color scheme? Do you like whatever in a picture? And then they can say yes, no. Or you could say, what is this a picture of? And then have a short answer, and then they answer it. Again, this is where we can add a picture to the question if we're asking it and we need an opinion or something. Alright, so here's my form. I did a bunch of questions on here. As you can see how they lay out when you add different types. I had 2 short answer, a multiple choice, and then I did that grid one for what is your favorite food down there. I thought it might have been initially, because like I said, it's a newer question or a newer option they gave you, that it was just taking your multiple choice and putting it side by side, but that is not the case with this, as we'll see when we get to the answers. Alright, so we entered all this information in, or we entered our form, created that. Now we're going to go to send. We'll see send up in the right hand corner. You didn't see it on the last page because I scrolled down when I took the shot. But you click send, and it comes up send form, and you have a couple options. Actually, you have a lot of options. You could email to people and send a little message in there. Hey, just wanted to find out what you'd be interested in, and I've actually used this and still have the form out there. What is the topic for next month? What would you like for our small group? We're using Chuck Knows Church, so he has over 100 topics. He just opened a series on committee and a bunch of other stuff, so there's a bunch of options out there. I wanted to solicit what topics they were interested in listening to, so I listed the topics in a multiple choice question. I could send it out via email. In this case, I chose to just take the link, so I went from, instead of the mail icon, I went to the link, which is the center one, and it gave me a link where I could just send the link out or post it on Facebook or post it on our website, and that link would click people right to the form I need them to fill out. You can also, as I checked off shorten URL. It's going to give you a decent sized URL for them to click on and go to. This shrunk it down a lot. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. Once I get done with that, I copy it. I can either click the copy word or I can right click and copy it, and there I go. I have the link and I can put it wherever I want to put it. After I'm done, I can click the X and then I'm right at the form. Not a big deal there. Alright, so we sent the form out. We're starting to get responses back. We go back into our drive. We click on the title, Tech and Church Communications, and this pops up. And we can click the responses. When we click the responses, they can show up as they are now, where they have your name, and then underneath it'll put all the answers in there. Or we can see the little green plus sign there. We can click on that, and that actually dumps all the information into a spreadsheet. Now, there's value to both. If you just want a quick summary, you want to look at things, here's a nice quick way to just glance over them. However, if you want to manipulate them in different ways, doing the spreadsheet can be a lot more viable for you and work better for you. You can see people's individual or summary of them, either or. So you do have options there as well. As I scroll down, you can see how the multiple choice one, you can see the colors, you can see the responses, and in this case I only had one response at the time. So I picked blue, it was 100% blue. But it'll actually do a pie graph showing you what percentage of the answers were a certain topic. Or a certain answer, either or. Alright, now if we dump it into the spreadsheet, we click that button, we create a spreadsheet, and this is what pops up. So we have the timestamp, like I told you, the date and time right there, and then all your answers. Your questions are up top, and then all the answers for all your different submissions below. This particular one, I only had one at the time, but I did add a second one because I wanted to show you a neat feature. A little bit more complex, but a neat feature nonetheless if you want to grade, so to speak, answers. So say you did a project, you did a topic on something, you want to say, hey, I wonder how many people actually were paying attention to what I was saying. So you pop up a little quiz. Those questions you turn into a quiz. So you go through, you pop up, you make your questions, your multiple choice, essay, whatever questions you want. This is really only going to work with maybe true, false, and multiple choice for instant grading. However, you can grade other ones with it, but it's a grading tool as well. So you go through and you solicit this quiz, you write it up, you get a bunch of people to answer for you. Now it's your turn, because let's face it, we need to have an answer key, correct? So you go through and you fill out the form, you answer and take the quiz. of course, you're going to know what the right answers are. So you'll fill all the right answers in, and maybe you'll put your name or some identifier in the questions for your form that you'll know when you go back into this form, you'll know which one is your answers. Okay, so we got that down. So we have, I don't know, 6, 7 quizzes in here. You come to the forms, you identify which one's yours. Excellent. So now we have to do what's called an add-on. You'll see in the top left, or the top middle there, it says add-ons. You'll click on that. I already have this program popped in here, so I don't have to get it. You only have to get it once, and then you go through and do this. But you go to add-ons and then get add-ons. You're going to look for Flubaroo. Flubaroo is a companion program that works with this Google Sheets, basically, at this, even though it's a Google form. And it will actually allow you to grade the answers that come back to you. After you download it, again, you only have to do it once, it's just like an app. You'll come back and you'll see it appear just as it does on the screen now. Add-ons Flubaroo, you go over to Flubaroo, and then you click Grade Assignments. After you grade assignments, you'll see the screen there. And it'll ask you if you want like different points for certain things, for the different questions. You can do that. More than likely, you probably won't get into that. You click Continue, and then it pops up the submissions and the first set of questions, or the first question. This is why probably if you're going to do a quiz, names would be important here, or some type of identifier. So you click on Frank's going to be the right answer. That's going to be the answer key. That's going to be your answer key. So you go over to Select, you click Frank, and then you click Continue. So all the answers are going to be compared to what Frank submitted. So let's hopefully you got your own quiz right, and all those answers will be compared to Frank. After you continue, it will grade everything. This is the report that you'll get graded. You'll see the time submitted. You'll have some statistical information in the top left, and then you go over to city and state, websites, Facebook. Obviously, they wouldn't be graded. What we really were grading here would be color and the food type, because they're the two actual questions we're asking. So you'll see the person's name, and then you'll see how well they did on the quiz. And again, this is just one extra one because Frank was used as the actual answer key. Don't know if you would use this in your church, but you have that option. Again, it's a pretty neat tool, especially more on the teaching end, if you want to do quizzes and stuff like that. If not, the regular Google Forms with the Google Sheets as the responses might be the best for you. You can go to File. If you're not in this, you can go back to others, but you can do it in this form as well. Go to File, and then you can download or save it as an actual Excel spreadsheet. So that's another nice option where you can add all this stuff up, get all the good information, save that, and then you could just clear out this sheet or clear out this response form. Alright, hope you got a lot out of that. It was a little bit more entailed when we get to the actual grading, if you have an option or have a need to grade. So that took a little bit more, but again, you may or may not use that all the time. I use it a lot in teaching, but you might not in the church setting. Alright, now it's your turn. Go create a form. Go into your Google Drive, create a form. Doesn't have to be anything, super fancy, but something where you can solicit information back and get a chance to see both ends of the spectrum. Creating the form, deciding what type of questions you want to put in there, the style of the question. Then after you get some responses back, see how you can manipulate the data to help you. Take the URL when you create that, put it on the discussion board so we can all participate, help you out, get some feedback in there so you can actually see some responses. Then go into the discussion board and see what some possible uses could be for Google Forms in your church. We've used them in a few different ways. I want to hear your reactions, and I'll obviously share mine. I also put in the post my URL so you can actually go and play on the user side of it. And then periodically check your responses. Go back, check the responses, see that other people have populated into that. And again, if you want to even ask others outside of class to add to the form for you, go to this form, fill it out for me. Let me know what you think. and get some information. Maybe even use it as a project for your church. Maybe you wanted to get some opinions from people. Here's a great way to do it. So play with that form, check the answers periodically, and then get back to us. Help the other students out and fill out some of theirs, and go from there. All right? Have fun.